Health Alert is brought to you by OU Physicians in Tulsa. Hello, welcome to Health Alert. I'm Pam Butler. Today we're at Fleet Feet, and joining me is Craig Cleveland, the training coordinator, and we're going to talk about running programs. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now that's a word and a mouthful. That's why I just said slowly, Fleet Feet Sports.
Right.
Now, you deal with all kinds of running or walking paraphernalia, etc. And we're going to talk about sort of proper running attire, and I want to start with that, and then we're also going to get into training programs that you offer.
Yes.
When we look at proper running or walking for your feet, sometimes people think the cost will determine how really good it is.
Right.
Sometimes people think, oh, the cheaper the better. How should we view running paraphernalia and shoes and things like that?
The most important thing is to get a good fit. Your foot shape matching the shoe shape that you choose is paramount. So what we do, we'll measure your foot seated and standing, unweighted and then weighted, so that we get the highest measure of your arch, which is also your shortest foot length, seated. And then standing, we see how much your foot elongates so that we can see the movement of your arch inside the shoe. Then we'll watch you walk barefoot, and we'll put you on the treadmill and show you how your ankle moves and how your foot moves at the base.
Okay.
With the combination of the right shoe, with medial support in the shoe, we can determine and minimize the movement your foot makes this way. And then with the orthotic or the insert that we put in the shoe, we can minimize the movement your foot makes inside the shoe. That way, with a combination of both, we can come up with a custom fit for your foot.
Now, let me ask this question, because sometimes, like I do the treadmills, I was telling you before the show started, and I get confused. I used to always buy this run-walk shoe because I run a little bit and also walk a little bit. But then they stopped making it saying run-walk, so then I get confused. Do I need a running shoe? Do I need a walking shoe? I do a little bit of both. How should we view running and walking if we're doing both?
Right, and most people do both. Generally, people who are training, they run and walk intervals, and you know, sometimes the interval is short. They run 1 minute and walk 3 or 4 minutes, and other times they'll run a mile and walk a minute, or run 2 miles and walk 30 seconds. But however, everybody is generally running and walking some. The best walking shoe is a running shoe. The best shoe for your foot is a running shoe. They've put so much research and development into running shoes that, and they have developed different fits for different feet and different applications. So if you get a really good running shoe, that shoe is going to serve you well in whatever purpose you choose.
Now, with the running shoes, because that's another level of confusion, I've seen in the stores the mesh-looking ones, and then I've seen the ones that look a little bit more like leather. And so sometimes I think, well, I need something light so it won't weigh me down, so I tend to go to the mesh. But then again, I'm like, well, maybe I need something a little bit heavier, so if I'm in the cold, my foot will be warmer. I mean, tell me about that.
What you're going to find is that all of the better running shoes are going to be mesh now. The leather does hold heat a lot. The mesh is created so that your foot can breathe and actually stay dry. And that's really important when you're training for a marathon or a half marathon, and when you're running a lot. Your foot needs to be able to stay cool and dry to prevent some swelling and other issues.
Okay, now when we look at running shoes, because I know that you measured my feet, the sitting and the standing before the show started, do we usually wear, because you didn't tell me, do you usually wear the same size running shoe or walking shoe that which is a running shoe, that you would a regular shoe?
Generally not, and that's one reason that we measure your foot in here. It's amazing to me, a lot of people, even my age, that come in and say they haven't had their foot measured since junior high or since they were a kid. So we remeasure. Most people, a lot of people nowadays are wearing the wrong size shoe anyway, regularly, on a regular basis, and because they've just developed this size over time that they put their foot in and really don't know what their size is. Right now, with running, we'll measure your foot and then we'll extend the size about a full size, and we'll get you a size bigger than what your foot actually measures in order to accommodate swelling and foot movement, especially as you train for a marathon or for the longer distances. Your foot will swell quite a bit when you get up into the 10, 12, 15 mile distances.
Okay, now you have some shoes here that you brought out based on my foot measurements, and then talk a little bit about the shoe and socks and inserts, because another issue that I tend to have that others may too is what kind of socks. I mean,
Right.
sometimes I'll put two together thinking that's a good cushion for
Yeah.
for padding. Sometimes I'm like, should I go buy a running sock?
Right.
Or exactly what?
Kind of a running mantra is cotton is rotten. Okay, we stay out of cotton completely. Cotton is great for a lot of things, bed sheets, towels. For running, not so great. Okay, so we stay into some kind of a technical fiber that won't absorb moisture. You know, when you do your laundry, you pull out of the spin cycle. You can pull a wet T-shirt. It's heavy, takes a long time to dry, but you pull polyester or lycra out, and it's ready to wear almost. Well, the same concept with socks. So we'll get a lycra polyester blend sock. All right. The best socks are going to have a really high thread count on the bottom to prevent friction, but they'll be vented on the top so that they can release heat.
Interesting.
They need to have a really deep heel cup so that they don't migrate on your foot.
Let me
And
feel
then,
this.
yeah, really soft. And then they'll have a single seam toe. This is a woven toe, not a sewn toe. So all these things make up a really good running sock.
That I would never have thought of.
Exactly.
Because I tend to look for the cotton socks because we think of
Right.
clothing with absorbing and
Right. And you can
Okay.
buy a really good shoe and put a bad sock on and kind of ruin the experience.
okay.
The sock needs to complement the shoe.
Okay.
Now also, the shoes will come with different levels of support. There's neutral, there's stability, there's motion control. So we'll determine for you and help you decide on how much stability you need in your shoe. This will eliminate or minimize the movement your foot makes
Okay.
in this direction.
Okay. We're going to look at this. I'm going to take my shoe off and see if that does feel good. Do I need to put this
Put the
sock on?
sock on
Okay.
for me. Thank you.
All right. And the sock already feels wonderful.
Yeah, the sock is nice.
Okay. And then we have this particular shoe.
This is a Saucony Guide. It's a
Okay.
nice basic running shoe,
Now-
medium price point.
Okay. Now tell me a little bit while we're doing this too about, because we're getting close to, Jake is sitting over there telling me almost out of time here, but tell me as we're doing this, and then I'm going to get to the insert in a moment, about training programs that you have.
We have training programs all the way from the couch to the full marathon.
From the couch, okay.
Yeah, and we have a couch to 5K,
Uh-huh.
and then we'll have an intermediate group that trains for a 10 or 15K.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a half marathon and full marathon groups, and we've
Okay.
got roughly 900 to 1,000 people in all the different groups. I've got close to 100 coaches, and these coaches have done. Our marathon coaches have done a total of 350 or so marathons, so really experienced coaches. And the groups will be 20, 25 people each with two coaches, and all the different paces you can see here. We
Okay.
go everywhere from an 8:30 minute mile to 13.
Okay, let me ask you
And-
real quickly too. You have programs for moms or grandmoms who are
We
not
do.
into the running at that level?
We have Strolling Moms that meets on Tuesday and Thursday mornings here
Okay.
at the store at 9 o'clock. And that's a beginning group, but they also, some of them can move pretty good with their strollers. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is feeling wonderful. Jake is now telling me I am out of time, but I can tell the difference in my socks that I
Mhm.
double
right.
and this one sock that you
It's
put on,
amazing.
and the shoes are absolutely fabulous. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Craig.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to tell people to stay put, because in our next segment, we're going to talk about assistive things to running in terms of additional
Exactly.
aids and other kinds of things that we need to be aware of. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please stay with us. We'll be right back.